Good morning, everybody. Happy Tasty Tuesday once again from my kitchen. And tomorrow my book club is coming, and we're reviewing a book called 5/4 of the Orange. And by the way, if you don't follow our blog, every Wednesday we have a book review. So go to www.myfab50slife.com and follow us, and you can see our weekly book reviews. 5/4 of the Orange is a book about the German occupation of France during World War II. And so I decided to make my book club some French food. And one of the things I'm serving is clafoutis. Clafoutis is a French dessert, and I know a lot of people are afraid of trying to tackle French food, but the majority of French food is actually really easy, very simple ingredients. And clafoutis is kind of a old country dessert, a peasant food, if you will, from the southwest central region of France, and a town called Limousin, or maybe it's a region called Limousin. And it's always made with stone fruit. So apricot, peaches, cherries, maybe plums. I've never seen it with plums, but I'm using cherries today for a cherry clafoutis. These are Bing cherries from the state of Washington where I live, and I'm really excited about this dessert. Hopefully it'll turn out. So you can make a clafoutis in a cast iron skillet, but today I am using a pie pan. So let's get started. It's really easy. It's kind of like a pie, but also very custardy. You'll see. So the first thing we are going to do, my oven is on 350. I have buttered my pie dish generously with lots of butter. Don't use Pam, use real butter. Now I have, let's see, how much milk do I have? I have 1 1/4 cups of whole milk. Use whole milk. I have 2/3 cup sugar, granulated sugar. Now, oops, I forgot to get my eggs out. Okay, regular eggs are just fine, but my friend Dale gave me these beautiful duck eggs. They're huge, and for fun, I'm gonna use those today. Now, they don't really taste any different than a chicken egg. The shell is a bit harder, and we had omelets with them last night, and they make a really nice fluffy omelet, so I think they'd work well in this custardy dish. So 3 eggs, 3 large eggs. They don't have to be as large as a duck egg, but that's what I'm using here today. Here's kind of a smaller one, so. All right, so I'm going to add, oh, see, those shells are a little bit hard. Oh, got it. Now to this, I am adding 1/2 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of Kirsch, which is a cherry liqueur. You do not have to use this, but it adds a nice little touch. All right, now we're gonna whisk. Okay, we've got our wet ingredients all whisked up, and I'm going to add 1/2 cup of flour, all-purpose flour, and I have, let's see, some salt, 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. Let's beat that in. You could use a beater for this, but my whisk is working just fine. So let me tell you about the cherries. I'm using cherries from the state of Washington. They're called Bing. You can really use any dark cherry, makes it nice and pretty. And still today, often, the pits are left in this dish, but I don't want to do that to my book club. So it's done less now than it was back in the day. But I think, you know, if you leave the pits in, it'll add a little bit of a nutty flavor, but I remove the pits, and I certainly wouldn't leave the pits if it was a larger fruit, you know, like apricots. But so I cut them in half, pulled the pit out of each one, and I did that a couple of days ago, and they've been in the fridge and they're just fine. So, all right, our batter is done. Now, we have 3 cups of cherries, and I'm pouring them directly into the bottom of my pan here, my pie dish. Now, one thing I'm going to be careful about with this particular, using this pie dish is it's pretty deep. So I'm going to really watch the edges so that they don't get burnt while I'm trying to get the middle cooked. Okay, that's a lot of beautiful cherries. And now our batter, just going to make up our custard. We pour it right on top. And remember, we have greased this pan thoroughly with butter. It's going to puff up during cooking, but then as it cools, it's going to recede a little bit into the pan. So there is our beautiful clafoutis. I'm going to put it in the oven, go for my run, and then come back, and it'll be done. About an hour in the oven at 350. If you make this recipe, your friends and family are going to think you're a genius. And it's so easy. Look at that. Cherry clafoutis. So what I did at 45 minutes, I checked it. It was still very soft in the middle. I added some foil around the edges at 50 minutes, checked it again every 5 minutes after that, and I took it out of the oven at 1 hour and 6 minutes. It's nice and firm. It's still really warm, and I'm not serving this till tomorrow. I will take it out of the fridge about an hour or maybe even more before I want to serve it, and bring it up a little bit to room temperature. You could serve this with ice cream or whipped cream. I think I'm just going to serve it plain though. I've seen this served almost like a cobbler with a spoon, just spooned out. I think it's firm enough that I'm going to be able to cut it and serve it in pie wedges, which is what I was hoping. And if that doesn't work, we'll just scoop it out with the spoon. Cherry clafoutis from France, super easy. You should give it a try, and we'll see you next Tuesday.